You know that feeling, right? You've got the absolute perfect thought in your head, but the second you open your mouth, the words just completely get stuck in your throat. It's incredibly frustrating. Imagine losing out on an amazing job, or a beautiful relationship, or even a lifelong dream, just because you couldn't express what you were truly feeling. It really hurts, doesn't it?
Well, good news because we're fixing that today. In this explainer, we're diving deep into some absolutely incredible source material to build you a life-changing toolkit. Honestly, a few small tweaks from this toolkit are going to completely transform you into a master communicator. We're talking game-changing stuff for both your personal and professional life. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the basics of communication. Then we'll look at body language and tone, how to handle conflicts and be assertive, public speaking and storytelling, and finally, navigating communication in the digital age.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Communication Basics, the Foundation.
So in our source material, there's this really relatable story about Neha. Neha was, without a doubt, the hardest working person at her company. But guess what? Promotions just kept slipping through her fingers. Why? Because she was absolutely terrified to speak up in meetings. She was constantly worried she'd say the wrong thing. If you've ever felt like Neha, listen up, because this is where active listening comes in. The absolute foundational rule of communication actually isn't talking at all. It's listening. There was this fascinating experiment mentioned in the source where two people just had to listen carefully to each other. And the result? The person who gave their undivided attention gained the highest level of trust. Making real eye contact, absolutely no interrupting, and using your body language to show you're fully engaged, that right there is the real secret.
And that perfectly tees up our next tool. There's a brilliant quote from the great actor Rishi Kapoor. He said, "Pause is powerful." Did you catch what I just did there? Taking a full 2-second silence doesn't make you look scared or like you forgot your lines. It actually makes you look incredibly thoughtful. So next time you're speaking, just take a second, breathe, think, then talk. People will literally stop what they're doing and really listen to you.
Moving right along to Section 2, Body Language and Tone, Beyond Words.
Okay, so did you know that your body is basically shouting before you even utter a single syllable? It's wild. How you look and sound speaks way louder than your actual words. Get this. According to our source material, words only account for a tiny, measly 7% of your communication. 7%! A massive 93% is entirely your tone and your body language. Seriously, imagine someone saying they're super confident but their shoulders are hunched up to their ears and they're whispering. Who are you going to believe? Exactly, you're going to believe their body.
So how do we actually master that huge 93%? Well, let's look at Saurav's journey. Saurav really wanted to be a manager, but his nervous body language was totally holding him back. So he committed to practicing in front of a mirror for just 10 minutes every single day. On day 1, he was completely nervous. But by day 15, he started naturally controlling his hand gestures and a smile. And by day 30, his muscle memory had completely taken over. It's like rewiring your brain. You truly start to feel exactly the way you present yourself to the world.
Next up, Section 3, Conflict and Assertiveness, Handling Tough Situations.
Now, we're diving into what is arguably the toughest part of communicating. Standing your ground and handling conflicts without letting it turn into a massive fight. Usually, we fall into one of two traps, right? We either become totally passive, just saying yes to keep the peace and regretting it later. Or we go the aggressive route and just start arguing. But there's a third way. In our source material, there's a guy named Rajat. He took a totally different path. He politely but very firmly told his boss no to working overtime. And you know what happened? His boss actually praised him for his honesty. Being assertive doesn't mean being a jerk. It just means setting clear boundaries without putting the other person down. It can literally be as simple as saying, I understand your point, but I have a different view.
And when you do inevitably face a conflict, you've got to lean on these 3 steps. Listen actively, try to genuinely understand their perspective, and, like we talked about earlier, pause before you react. The sourcebook offers this profoundly simple piece of advice. The next time you're stuck in a heated argument, instead of trying to win, just ask yourself one question. What am I missing? Seriously, burn that question into your brain. What am I missing? It completely shifts the vibe of the conversation and builds incredible trust. It all basically boils down to emotional intelligence and empathy. Take Ria, a teacher from the source material. She simply started trying to tune into a student's emotions. And just like that, she effortlessly won over her entire class. And hey, in today's global world, this totally applies to cultural awareness too. Remember that classic story of the Japanese client and the Indian salesman? The Japanese client kept nodding his head out of sheer polite respect. But the Indian salesman thought the nodding meant he was bored and uninterested.
It's crazy to think about how a massive business misunderstanding can snowball just from missing a simple cultural cue.
All right, let's jump into Section 4, Public Speaking and Storytelling, Overcoming Stage Fright.
I know. Just the thought of stepping onto a stage is enough to give most people a total panic attack, right? But take a deep breath, because we have a proven formula to conquer that stage fright once and for all. Listen to this. Even Warren Buffett, literally one of the most successful investors on the planet, had a paralyzing fear of public speaking. But he didn't just accept it. He took a course, he practiced relentlessly, and today he's incredibly respected on stage. Or think about Steve Jobs. He would spend hours and hours rehearsing every single pause, every slide, every tiny gesture. The takeaway here is crystal clear, folks. Great speakers are absolutely not born. They are made.
And a huge part of being a great speaker is the power of a good story. When Aniket started his big business pitch with just a wall of dry, boring numbers, you could practically hear the audience snoring. But the absolute second he pivoted to a relatable story, boom, the whole room woke up and locked in. Just throwing facts at people is a guaranteed snooze fest. Storytelling, on the other hand, creates an emotional hook that makes it virtually impossible for people to tune you out.
So if you're stepping up to present, keep these 3 actionable tips in your back pocket. First, kick things off with a question to instantly grab their curiosity. Second, visualize your success. I'm totally serious. It's a game changer. Think of the legendary cricketer Sachin Tendulkar. He would mentally play out his shots before ever stepping onto the pitch. You need to mentally rehearse crushing your presentation. And third, make sure your talk actually has a clear, logical structure that people can follow.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, Communication in the Digital Age, Navigating Tech.
You know, technology has made it so unbelievably easy to talk to anyone, anywhere. But ironically, it's made truly understanding each other so much harder. Think about text messaging. Your tone is completely stripped away. You could send a quick, harmless OK text, and the person reading it might think you are absolutely furious with them. And let's be real, an emoji just doesn't capture genuine human emotion. Sometimes, you just need to pick up the phone. A quick 30-second call is often way more effective than firing off 10 text messages and risking a totally unnecessary misunderstanding.
And for all of you navigating a packed inbox at work, here is a golden rule. Please, whatever you do, avoid typing in all caps. It literally reads like you are screaming at the person through their screen. Just use clear subject lines and always keep your tone respectful. Honestly, just mastering basic email etiquette saves so much frustration and prevents massive delays on projects.
So let's tie this entire toolkit together. We saw Ravi, who made a brave rule to speak at least one single line in every meeting, and his value at the company skyrocketed. And then there's Anjali. She used these tools to gather the courage for a 2-hour, totally honest conversation with her dad. It ended up healing years of painful distance that was caused by nothing more than silence. You can absolutely do this too. Practice reflective listening. Literally just repeat back what someone says so they know you truly hear them.
If there's one massive takeaway from this explainer today, it's this. Communication isn't just some basic soft skill. It's a literal superpower. It is a lifelong journey that helps you build incredibly deep connections and unshakable confidence. No one wakes up a master communicator. So make a promise to yourself right now. Commit to getting just 1% better every single day.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one very important question. Who will you intentionally talk to today? Who is that one specific person you're going to go test out this brand new toolkit with? Really think about it. Start this amazing journey right now. Keep learning and keep communicating.